It's not that I'm saying things that they don't like. It's that I'm refusing to allow my voice to be controlled. I want to be clear to you guys. I'm going to be honest with you because everybody's noticing it. Every single political commentator in America, every single one of them knows this, that if you do not step out and say things that are radically pro-Israel, or if you are too quiet on certain narratives and they want you to be radically pro-Israel, you can lose everything. That's truth. That is a fact. I'm not feeling like I need to hide from that anymore or be afraid to say it, rather, is a better way to say it, because I've endured this for years. I'm just at the end of my rope.
High profile one at the moment with Candace Owens, who's now left Daily Wire. Was she fired or did she leave of her own volition?
I'm not going to speak to this topic, Piers.
At all?
At all.
You can't give me any insight into why she departed?
No hints, no nothing. I'm not going to speak to this.
Can I ask why?
I mean, you can ask.
Listen, so Ben Shapiro, first of all, look at that little smile. It was just like a mischievous little boy, right? Well, it has come out that Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire enforced a gag order on Candace Owens. It's just the way they did it. You know, we have Glenn Greenwald breaking this news in the middle of trying to set up a debate between Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens, with the Daily Wire acting like they were going to really be a part of this. They were also setting up the gag order behind the scenes. That's so lame. And this is why I say I appreciate integrity. Now, before we go into the full Glenn Greenwald report, why don't we just kind of take a walk back through time and just kind of look at how we got here? Because this is something that should be talked about. This is part of the fissure that I see that's happening in the, quote, conservative side of media.
If somebody commits 9/11 and we lose 3,500 people, does that give us the permission to kill 1 million Iraqi civilians like we did? And I think that that's an academic discussion that should be had, and wanting to have that discussion doesn't make somebody, an Islamophobe or make somebody, a genocidal maniac. It almost is required to have that discussion. These are very serious discussions that should be had. I give pause when people pretend like there is no, like it just doesn't matter. If we have to annihilate every single person to avenge 125 people, 1,500 people, whatever, then it's totally fine. That doesn't feel right to me,
Right. Well, in the case of 9/11 that you brought up, I mean, it was a lot more amorphous.
So it was these kind of comments, I guess, that, really gave Ben Shapiro a hard time. And let's keep it real, guys. There's other reports coming out about Ben Shapiro. I think 7 months into the situation, a lot of people are looking at Ben Shapiro kind of funny. And I think even people who are, I don't like these labels. I don't want to call it pro-Hamas, pro-Israel. This is not a football game. This is the thing that I've been saying for a long time in other debates, is that we act like everything is a freaking football game. Okay. Sometimes let's appreciate the gray zone, right? Anyway, but talking like this, it's not some horrible thing. This is a real discussion, a discussion that needs to be had. Is like, what is the plan? How far do we go? Okay. Because later on in this episode, Candace will go on to say that is killing 1,500 Israelis, is that worth taking, going into World War III? And she was like, we need to have a real discussion about this. Now, when she said this was actually sometime in November or whatever. And somebody would say like, oh, you're being totally fringe about the situation. Like, come on, World War III. Like, no, but look at where it's gone to, where now somehow Iran is involved. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, there's a lot going on. So she's right. I mean, it's in present time. She's right. Going back, looking at it in hindsight. So that's why we have to learn from our mistakes, especially even with 9/11. I mean, there's just a lot of things that we seem to not ever learn from. But those kind of comments garnered for Ben Shapiro to make comments like this.
Candace Owens, I think her behavior during this has been disgraceful. Without a doubt. Yeah, and she works for my company. Yeah, I think she's been absolutely disgraceful. I think that her faux sophistication on these particular issues has been ridiculous. It's not faux sophistication, it's ridiculous. Everybody can see the moves that she's making and the things that she's saying, and I find them disreputable.
There you have Ben Shapiro calling his
And so you see the comments, right? And so we can, and what's lovely about this video that we're putting together here on Bring the Asteroid, which, by the way, guys, thank you for watching. Yes, it's been a little bit since I put out some stuff. I'm about to upload like crazy a whole bunch of episodes on a lot of things going on. So please hit the like button, guys. Please subscribe to the channel and your notification bells. A lot of times you won't get notification until you hit the notification bell. On this channel, we are just simply having a balanced discussion about these current topics that do matter. And they matter because the people deserve the truth, even if the truth lies somewhere in the gray zone, right? But this notion of your label means that you have to go with here's a list of demands. Here's a list of what you have to stand for. If you're conservative, if you're on the left, if you're on a whatever, right? And just check these off and just make sure that you never move from these positions. We don't do that here on Bring the Asteroid. On Bring the Asteroid, we're bringing the asteroid of reality. Something that's been missing in the media area, the media lane, for a long, long time. And we're realizing, I think, that it's been missing in the conservative side, where some people may have thought that's where it was, but we're seeing a lot of virtue signaling. And so we go back to Ben Shapiro, who's saying this stuff about Candace. Oh, I think, and she still works for my company. You know, is it your company or not, Ben? Because they go through this thing all the time. Well, Ben Shapiro's not really, he's just the face of the company. He's not really the CEO. So why do you get to stand up on a stage with a mic and tell people that Candace still works for the company, right? And say that it's not faux sophistication. She's actually being ridiculous. Wow, lob all these insults, right? Well, I guess, and then Candace didn't work for the company that long, because later on it went that, you know, Candace got fired. And so even if they said that the Daily Wire and Candace, they parted ways amicably, yeah, that's the professional way to say it. But Jeremy Boring did not have he didn't deny it when people kept saying, fired Candace, you fired Candace, you fired Candace. He never denied it. So anyway, but what I find so sneaky is the fact that you guys were acting like you were going to have this debate with this girl, and everybody was waiting for it. Okay. And then on the back end, you were setting up gag orders.
The weaponization of anti-Semitism accusations, similar to the way liberals weaponize racism accusations, is claim values. And one of the issues that we covered is the fact that Candace Owens, who became a vocal critic of the Israeli war in Gaza and of U.S. support for Israel, as well as what she argues is the weaponization of anti-Semitism accusations, similar to the way liberals weaponize racism accusations, that everybody who questions Israel or criticizes Israel is instantly branded a racist or an anti-Semite. And at first, the Daily Wire said early on, after October 7th, when a lot of their most strident Israel supporters were calling for Candace Owens to be fired, they said, we're not going to fire somebody from their job at the Daily Wire because they don't have the views that Ben Shapiro has about Israel. Hosts are allowed to have different views.
Now, Glenn makes a really good point here. Glenn says the weaponization of the word anti-Semitism, right? Like the left weaponizes racism. Yes, exactum. He breaks it down so perfect. Let me tell you something. I hate the weaponization of racism. Oh my gosh! Like the minute I hear somebody lobbing that word out on somebody, you're racist, I jump up immediately. Like, excuse me, that person's just talking and assessing something. Like, shut up. We can't just lob labels at people simply because they're asking questions or figuring out something, or maybe going back in history and figuring out some truth about history that they didn't know. That doesn't make them racist, nor does it make it anti-Semitic, right? And that's the right. Everybody's just mirroring each other, man. The right does this a lot. Every single time. You just hate so-and-so. Come on. How are you going to use the same tactics that you hate on one side, and you're going to use them on other people? And so this is exactly, and by the way, Glenn Greenwald, not that it matters. It should not matter. But we live in a world where it matters. Glenn Greenwald is Jewish. And it's important to know that, though, still, because I know how we live. That's why I will always give him his trophies for his the way he stands with the truth. And we'll go into other reports about other things later of people who try to slander him as if he's some child. This is a journalist, okay? Anyway.
A mere 4 months later, Candace Owens was gone from the Daily Wire, and that's because she had crossed lines, according to the Daily Wire, what Ben Shapiro described as the Overton window, the limits on what you can and can't say. She went over those lines, exceeded those limits when it came to Israel and questions of anti-Semitism, and therefore was no longer compatible with the policies of the Daily Wire, which apparently require at least some degree of support for Israel. Candace Owens went to Twitter and said, I'd like to have a debate with Ben Shapiro about Israel. The Daily Wire ran into an arbitration proceeding and requested that an arbitrator put a gag order on Candace Owens and order her blocked, banned from criticizing the Daily Wire or Ben Shapiro in any way. And none of this was disclosed by the Daily Wire. They had led their audience to believe that they actually wanted a debate with Candace Owens. And yet at the same time, in secret, they were arguing to the arbitrator that the way in which Candace Owens asked for this debate, the expressions of criticism she had voiced about Ben Shapiro, the fact that she had liked multiple tweets that were criticizing Ben Shapiro in the Daily Wire meant that Candace Owens, by negotiating and asking for this debate, had in fact engaged in disparagement of the Daily Wire in a way that violated her contract, and they therefore convinced an arbitrator in secret that they were likely to win if they sued Candace Owens for breach of contract, and the only remedy possible would be to gag Candace Owens from talking about the Daily Wire or Ben Shapiro in any way critically.
And that, my friends, is sneaky. And this is why I've lost faith in any type of I really have it's just too slimy for me. Okay. Not only is the Daily Wire they make the look, I want to be clear. I want people to make your money. Make your money however you need to make your money. There's a lot of money to be made out here. Go ahead and make it. I have no problem with that. But I run into a problem when you brand yourself to an audience, a massive audience of people who are the fighters for freedom of speech. You know, oh my gosh, I've heard these people go off on spaces about how they fight for freedom of speech, and they, have gotten lawyers to fight for this, that, and the third and everything. And I'm just like, all right, yeah, that's what's up. Hey, the other young little guy in YouTube can't do that, but that's fine. At least y'all are doing it. Do your thing, long as you stay true to that, right? But hey, I didn't write their business model, right? And so, but y'all let this girl ask Ben Shapiro for a debate, calculate every little thing that she did. Oh, she made tweets disparaging Ben. No, she did tweet some verses and say Christ is king. And everybody said that was for Ben Shapiro, right? That she was trying to burn him at the stake or something. I don't know. What? Okay. That was a whole, it's still a whole controversy, which we'll get into in another video. And they collected all these little bits and pieces of petty arguments, ran to an arbitrator and said she breached her contract, and they gagged her. They shut her off. And had people believing that they were going to have a debate. Even people who follow Ben, even people who will say Ben Shapiro's right, everything he's saying, everything he's doing, I'm with Ben. I would think that these people should feel some type of way about the sneaky, underhanded way that they went and stopped this girl from speaking, fine. But first gaslit everybody thinking that there was going to be a debate, where the people who were rooting for Ben were probably like, yeah, we're going to see Ben debate Candace, and this will be over. This will be great and everything. And guess what? They never had that in mind. So that's where I have a problem. Look, you want to get rich, do your thing. I just believe that, especially in a time like today, when there are so many new bills coming down the pike and all kinds of confusion. What's going on with our borders? What's going on with them? All kinds of confusion. And the news is getting lost in this team fighting, all of that. So I just feel like in a time like this, if you have been blessed with an audience of one, it is your duty to bring that person the inconvenient truth. It is. Or at least to stand by what you're telling them that you stand by, right? And so if you stand by conservative policies and fighting for the Constitution and freedom of speech, This is what you've made your money off of. And actually, if you think about it, Daily Wire is the leader of the conservative movement. But you guys do things like this. And again, not the part where they get Candace, because I knew that was coming. I actually thought it took a while. But to make everybody think that they were going to have the debate and kind of led her into it. Yeah, Candace, just hold on. We'll be right back. We'll be right back. Look, she was bothering us for this debate. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so bad. Talk about like wolf in sheep clothing. I'm sorry. That's just how I see it. Y'all let me know how y'all feel. Thank you for watching.